Gentlemen, welcome back to the second game of Group A in WGL, the Warcraft Gold League. The championships of this very, very beautiful game. Neo and Remo live from Shanghai. Back to Warcraft represent, and Newbie and Korea represent as well. This is LawLiet, still failing to get the first big championships, but it's getting close again. The H&W Masters silver medal is his, and he wants to claim the frozen throne that we see in the back. It's not gonna be easy, so we saw Infi advancing to the winners finals, and his opponent is maybe the strongest undead in the world. It's his teammate, as you can see him here, representing the Chinese clan Newbie. His opponent is 1-2-0.
And having the unfortunate bad luck of having a bit of a injury now as well. As you can see there on his left hand, he had a bit of a faux pas with a bottle, if I heard that right. He says the injury is somewhat painful, but yeah, 1-2-0 now. He has to make up for his last performance. Last WGL, thinking back, not a single undead got out of the groups. Neither did he, obviously. Very disappointing there, but his year so far hasn't been too bad. Winning the Yule Cup, getting decent positionings at least elsewhere. He has proven this year that he's still one of the scariest players in the world.
Absolutely. He is maybe the craziest micro in the entire scene. Oh boy, this is already a match that could be a grand final. And this is the round of 16, first round of the group stage. This is how packed this entire tournament is. In the qualifiers, both players didn't play to the fullest, or at least didn't get the big results. 1-2-0 was struggling with qualifying quite a bit. LawLiet had to wait until the very last qualifier to make sure he's in. So it's not like they're dominating. It's not like they were getting these ladder points every single month to establish them into the top 6 as a Moon, as a Lin, as a Focus, as a Life, for example. LawLiet even was relegated to the open division in one of those qualifiers. But yeah, now it's where it counts.
It's still online though, it's still qualifiers. I think a mindset for many of these top players is, yeah, maybe I'm not gonna be, you know, top 5 in the points, but I'm definitely gonna make it. Come on. Am I like gonna get fewer points than Colorful, than Fly? Probably not. And at the end of the day, they did get in pretty convincingly. As far as mindsets go though, for 1-2-0, it seems like this way of thinking, of not caring about it too much, can be a weakness and a strength for him. Losses don't affect him too much. He is confident. He goes into matches against his opponent knowing that he is not inferior. But sometimes it turns to carelessness, seemingly. LawLiet, what can we say about him? He is a very jolly fella, but still no World Championship. It seems like it is so long overdue. Sometimes the performances from him are completely out of control. And at the H&W, he was so close. At WGL, he never seems to make it all the way, though.
That's true. He's always stopped, oftentimes even in the group stages. But you know, in the entire qualifier race, he didn't face a single undead, which is, of course, not the same. For the most successful WGL player ever, 2 championships, 2 silver medals for 1-2-0. Only TH has 2 championships as well, but not the silver medals that 1-2-0 has. That is quite some time ago, though. Yes. As you pointed out, group stage elimination last time in a group with LawLiet. Nobody really expected LawLiet and Focus to make it there, with 1-2-0 being the big favorite. But yeah, in group stages, sometimes surprises happen. Here we have the map, picks and bans. What's out? Amazonia and Northern Isles for 1-2-0, Concealed Hills and Echo Isles for LawLiet. Interesting to ban Echo, I feel. So this leaves us with Last Refuge, Terrana Stand, and 1-2-0 picks.
Yeah.
Twisted Meadows, leaving us with the starting map of Terrana Stand.
I was amazed when I heard it the first time from him. That was after the Yule Cup final against Infi, where he talked about the match after he had won. When he was like, yeah, I was confident moving on to Twisted Meadows. In my opinion, that is the one map that favors Undead in that matchup.
The only one map.
Yes, exactly. Which is contrary to the belief of many other Undead players. The opening for Night Elf is hard, yes, but if it goes late, Twisted Meadows, Moon Meadows with 1 million expansions, we've seen it a bunch of times, but 1-2-0 is still confident in this. Would be his loser's pick.
Indeed. Who is advancing into the winners finals? Who is facing Infi? It's either The Yule Cup champion 1-2-0 or the H&W Masters runner-up LawLiet. Korea versus China, the Warcraft 3 Eternal Battle. And yeah, this is the new generation of Warcraft meeting each other on Terranas Stand. And is Terranas Stand not the best Warden map possible?
Absolutely is, without a question. In this matchup, at least, against human, perhaps Echoes would be even better, but here it must be TS. But we haven't seen Warden in a while in this matchup. She seems pretty unreliable. She gets level 3, she's strong there, but she kind of has to be played solo. And against that, in the late game, if you don't get level 5, and sometimes even if you do get level 5, a Warden can only do so much. She can use her spells, use her Shadow Strikes, Fan of Lies, whatever it is, but at one point she's going to be out of mana. And what does she do then? She has no real right-click damage potential with an Orb of Venom. It's kind of okay, but not really the best. A Keeper of the Grove with Entangle is pretty much always going to be ready, but is that going to be the hero pick? This is the new patch, ladies and gentlemen. It's still a pretty new patch, but it is 1.31. It's not 1.30 anymore. It's not Keeper-dominated exclusively anymore.
Yeah, the biggest development that we've seen in patch 1.30 is the rise of the Demon Hunter. And especially against Undead, like mana burns against Lich and DK feels, as an Undead, it feels really, really bad, but not facing too many Coil Novas is a nice thing for Night Elf. So he has quite a few different picks to choose from in the early game. But as I pointed out, it's the map picks and bans. LawLiet vetoing Echo Isles. And in the past 2 months or so, 1-2-0 was always going for expansions on Echo, and it was easy to counter with Wisp detonates. I'm not 100% sure if you should veto Echo.
Specifically against the fast expansion, though, I think Echo... Don't you think it's one of the easiest maps? If you go instant expansion, that is. And yes, you're right. But 1-2-0 has been...
My point is that it tells, like, from the map choosing, you know that he's going to do that. And then you can play around with a couple of Wisps right at the creep and Dispel the Blight and make it a lot harder. Like Moon and TH did that to the fullest and worked out so well.
It's not 100% reliable though. Sometimes a Wisp moves in and snare hits, doesn't detonate. Sometimes Undead sells the TP, gets 2 skulls. 1 detonate is not enough. Sometimes a coil comes, detonate doesn't hit. So I can understand him vetoing this, especially if he fears the fast expansion, which, as you completely said correctly, 1-2-0 has been playing more and more. Happy as well, by the way, playing more and more expansions. Back in the olden day of 1.39, this was considered utterly impossible, but the meta has changed. Warcraft has changed a lot over the last couple of years. And 1.31, our newest patch here, is still being figured out.
1-2-0. He is only 22 years old. He's only in the scene for 4 years. This is really, really young for a Warcraft 3 player. He already has 4 premier titles to his chest, 2-time GCS and Masters Colosseum last summer. But since then, no big accomplishment for him, except, of course, the Yule Cup, but that was like a Tier 2 tournament. And what's so fascinating is that despite being so young and despite being new in the scene, he's already the 11th best earning Warcraft player of all time, cracking the $100,000 mark just recently,
forces are
surpassing so many legendary players. That is also a sign for the rise of Warcraft 3 again.
Yeah, he's definitely the most talented player we've seen in so many years. There's other strong, really new, really young players. Life, colorful, Hugling Wagwa could be mentioned.
Don't start this Hug thing again.
Come on, dude, he's a strong player. And even I'm going to admit Lingwagwa here. But yeah, 1-2-0 is the #1 standout. He's the one who has, at times, been looking much stronger than some of the others, the older players. TP being sold, DK going for the Sacrificial Skull.
In the upper left, we see her. The hero that made LawLiet so famous at WCA 2015. It is the Warden again, especially against Chinese players. She worked out so well, but 1-2-0 got the last hit, showing why he has the best micro in the game.
Which one did he get? It wasn't the very big one. Yeah, I think it was the level 3 guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he got it.
Preventing level 2. That's so big.
It looked
so big.
Yeah, it looked for a moment there. Oh, he may have gotten it with a Shadow Priest, actually. I thought it was the Acolyte.
No, it was
Shadow Priest. Level 2, Does get found here with the last creep being taken out. Oh, saves the Wisp. This is actually a big deal.
This game is like 3 minutes old, and we've seen 2 incredible moves. This Wisp into building, saving it, and here we go for the detonate again, maybe against the Blight. No nuke yet. There we go, against the skeletons. Not saving it for the skull. This is pretty tough for 120 as the Warden comes in, and of course she has Shadow, Fan of Knives.
Important last hit right there. That would have been level 2 for the DK, would have made things much easier. Now we have Blink coming in as well. With the Wand of Mana stealing, it's going to be one more Ghoul dying. But Ghouls are kind of expendable in the early game, at least in certain numbers. Losing one to the creeps, though, is not ideal. Was busy elsewhere. Was that this?
Chasing.
That was another Ghoul kill, right?
Pretty sure there is going to be one more in 120, man. He is in a world of trouble. Getting level 2 now for the Aura and another kill for LawLiet. Level 2.6, and this is exactly what you want with the Warden play. Fast experience, fast level 3, and the expansion is already at 50%, and the tech is progressing as well. Now coming in with another Mercenary to maybe get the Acolyte, or maybe prevent the Ziggurat from coming up. I love this early game for LawLiet.
Yeah, and this was a total, if I count right, of 4 Ghoul losses. I said some are expendable, but losing 4 of them, that is very painful indeed. Ziggurat cancelled as well. No Nerub coming up here too soon. And this Wand of Mana Stealing is actually doing a great job for LawLiet, making sure there's no more coils, and once again finding more cancels. Ghouls do come from the main, so the skeletons don't have to defend by themselves, and it seems like the Warden dropping so low will be forced to fall back here soon, but this is all greatly delaying the expansion, making it very expensive for 120 to get up a second base.
Another good decision by LawLiet, I feel, is to go for Blink second. He's not damage greedy, because you can chase Ghouls a lot easier with Shadow Strike. You can pressure the DK a lot easier with Shadow Strike. That's usually sometimes the #1 pick of skills in this matchup if you're not going for this Mercenary camp, for example. But Ghouls and 120's micro, that just screams for surrounds. And with Blink, you just get out of there.
Staff teleportation now on the Warden as well, which I believe we're going to be seeing used a lot in this game. We're starting to move into a 2-base versus 2-base game, which, as I was alluding earlier, we never used to see this in the past. It was always tier 3 rush by the Undead, feeling that they're so reliant on tier 3 tech, orb, and everything else, that there was never earlier expansions, but the meta has changed. The Undeads have adapted, and now we even see these super fast tier 1 expansions. Which is also going to mean, though, that LawLiet is going to have a massive tech advantage for a long time in this game.
And the Warden gets the robe of the Magi, even more mana for her to use, and the level 3, as you pointed out. Expansion is on the way, so more creeping in this stage of the game for LawLiet, but also 120 getting up to the level 3 and level 2 coil finally. The Expo's up, and the Gargs have been buffed. Is there a chance to see this kind of forgotten unit for the Undead in the hands of a Chinese?
The Warden, against small Garg numbers, she's pretty good with a Fan of Knives, but once she gets really high Garg numbers, she doesn't actually do that much, because it's unit cap of 6, I think, something like that, which can sometimes not be enough AoE against all the Gargs. But 120 isn't really that big of a gargoyle player. He's still not teching.
Whoa. He lost.
Oh my god.
Didn't get the lumber because of the early Ghoul kills.
Oh, wow. This is actually insanely late. I thought he had started at one point, but no, he didn't.
630 tech. There's no way he can do anything against the expansion, can he? I mean, he has a couple of Ghouls now, but still some left in the main. This is not...
The tree is kind of hurt, though. How many Ghouls did he bring?
Oh.
5 Ghouls.
5, but this is so much damage from this Warden alone.
Yeah, I think you're right. The Fan should be able to deal with this. Yep. Yeah, that's too much. Ghouls being split, kind of cool. One of them's gonna die. 2 more are taking out the entangling gold mine back there. But the Warden ready with the Blink, Fan of Knives. Already level 4 and getting more kills.
And this level 4 kind of opens up the possibility of a second hero. You don't have to save your experience for the first hero anymore. He's just getting so many more kills. This Warden is on fire.
And this is exactly how LawLiet wants to play. Yeah. This is the game he wants. High level Warden, 2-base versus 2-base. Let me get to level 6, ultimate.
Oh, tier 3 bears coming. Or maybe even mountain giants, we don't know. 1,000 gold for 120, starving on lumber. And a double crypt?
Could mean Gargs. Could just mean Mass Fiends. We've seen that as well.
I think Garx is the only way to get back in this game. Like, lane harass.
But there could be an Alchemist / Panda coming in soon. The Warden already has the Telestaff. The Warden is not going to be too far away from her Orb of Venom. There's also still some Archers that can be easily remade, or Berserkers.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy, but I think it's a lot easier than trying to get into Fiend's Destroyers from this, because then he has to tech to tier 3. With Gargs, you don't really have to go tier 3, so maybe that is the resources he saves, and especially the time he saves. Shutting down the mining again, maybe trying to make him like starve for lumber.
He harassed the Entangled Gold Mine a lot, but it wouldn't be in time to send enough Gargs over there to cancel it again. That would, of course, be amazing if he could keep this from coming up for minutes and minutes, but it doesn't quite work out. The tech is too late for that. And it is going to be Fiends. No Gargoyles here. I think you have a valid point there, though. Like, if he suddenly goes to 10 Gargs quickly with the income of his 2 bases, 1 statue, 1 or 2 heal scrolls, that could be a big surprise push coming in with those Gargs. But what if it doesn't work? What if it gets slapped down? What if there's too much stuff against it? I think the Fiends is going to be the more reliable late game play, and the Warden is going to use her time to look for more harass.
Here we go, Fan of Knives, and more kills, of course, not that big of a deal, as 120 has a lot of gold to work with and has the second Necropolis to get the Acolytes back up again. But you know, it's also experience, getting closer to 5. And I love this Ring of Regen actually against this. The towers don't do too much damage against the Warden, the ring helps against it. It's quite nice.
And most importantly, buying time. And note where the Panda is creeping. He knows he has a big tech advantage. He's not creeping close to his own natural, he's creeping close to the opponent's natural, where later on the Lich would want to creep. But now the creeps there are going to be gone, and the second hero of the Undead is going to have a super tough time leveling.
Wow. For the first time in WGL history, a player purchased the Dagger, the new item in Warcraft 3.
Which gives, if you deny a unit with it, if you sacrifice a unit with it, AoE healing to units surrounding that sacrifice unit, healing over time, which isn't that much, but it's a little bit more, I suppose.
Panda found most likely the best item possible, the Mana Stone here, loving LawLiet situation. He's banking on 1,000 gold, not breaking upkeep. 120 goes into Fiends. No guard play here. So how strong is the Panda against
Players'
this
forces are under attack
compared to a high-level single Warden?
If the Panda hits his damage cap with his Breath of Fire, it's always going to be a great mana to damage ratio.
What the fuck?
a town.
It's
is
a
under
Temple
siege.
of the Damned. I mean, anti-magic shell, okay.
Does he really want to go anti-magic?
Or does he want to go Necros? Oh, almost a
this is so
perfect
painful.
Fan of Knives again.
And here you see one of the big weaknesses of Undead. Yes, the Acolytes have been buffed significantly, but still, with mobile heroes, it's extremely easy to harass the economy, even after all the buffs. After taking out the economy at the expansion, now going into the main, there is the Fan of Knives and the Breath of Fire.
Did he just drop the Robe of the Magi before using the spell?
Before using the Mana Stone.
Mana Stone. Did he use the Mana Stone? Oh yeah, he did, okay.
Yep, he did. Looking for a lot of harass over here. Whoa, triple kill almost with the Breath of Fire. There's one more fan as well. Almost 2 more fans. This is so expensive, dude. This is costing so much gold for 120. At least he gets to creep, I guess.
Town is under siege.
But this doesn't
5.
seem like a good trade.
This is level 5 for the Warden in a second. There's a push by 120. A lot of repair in terms of Wisp. Nova gets rid of that, but it's only piercing damage and codes. The Warden is very, very hurt, so has to heal up at the Moon Wells. Super Wells are not done yet. The Panda is also low.
A player's
Did
forces are under attack.
LawLiet catch too much damage here for the defense?
He's got a shop. He's got mana pots, clarities. He got level 5 Warden. There is AoE healing from the statues, but I think it's too much AoE damage and not that much DPS on 120 side. Still not being tier 3. Don't think these Fiends have upgrades either. Here comes Destroyer now, and look at the AoE. Jesus!
Yeah, kind of needs heal scrolls against that. Very rare for Undead. Warden getting more kills, most likely Coil arrives in time. The Berserker getting killed off though. Close to level 4 on the Panda. The DK is solo, trying to nuke a bear, TP out, gets the kill in the end, and a level up for the Lich. A big and important level up, but another Fiend traded for a Dryad, and LawLiet can easily afford that with the expansion up as well. He's breaking upkeep now, creeping even more to the level 4.5 Panda. And now 1-0 is in exactly that position that you were talking about before. He wants to go to the bottom left and creep, but there's nothing.
He is behind in experience, but not by that much. The Lich is 3, the DK's almost 5, but yeah, there's absolutely no neutrals anymore on the map, if you disregard the little green ones which are still left over somewhere.
The Lich is getting quite powerful.
Oh yeah.
Double Claw, Orb, Gloves of Haste. Shout out to Rotterdam and the Super Lich.
But this is the strength of the ward now. He can just rinse, repeat this over and over.
Blink.
Blink, harass, and every kill here is a little bit more experience to get him closer to that so strong ultimate, the Avatar of Vengeance.
Yeah, and the Panda can defend now with the rest of the army while the Warden is doing her job. 1-0 once again trying to push this a little desperately maybe. The Temple didn't pay off at all. LawLiet is already transitioning into Fairy Dragons. Quite a few bears, good Dryads. He has a well-rounded army to fight against this now.
Yeah, and perhaps the number is the most important thing. 74 is just so much stuff right here that LawLiet is bringing to the table. Oh, gets a statue there, almost for free. Not quite. Now the bears kind of lined up, begging for a Nova, but Nova may have been on cooldown, but again the AoE is starting to stack up. Don't know if there's a heal scroll on the other side. There is not, but there is a heal ward. Oh, that
And
statue.
of course the dagger, don't forget about him. Another pickup for LawLiet, of course.
Against this, the dagger is actually kind of nice. Oh, Warden blinking forward, taking out the heal ward. Now completely out of mana, but Blink costs basically no mana at only 10. And gets away.
Staff is on cooldown, was kind of dangerous. But yeah, no healing anymore. And LawLiet is also building some units against the upcoming destroyers. No one is really floating in gold anymore. LawLiet now at like 800 could go into more items maybe, but he has pretty much everything he needs. Maybe an Invo Potion on the Warden, has a staff now. First A-bombs coming. They are not that susceptible to area of effect.
Yeah. And it's going to require more micro from the Night Elf as well. If he only has the bears on A-click, they're going to be stuck attacking the A-bomb, which is not very effective at all. So he's going to have to manually micro them. So here are the Banshees. No master training. Okay. Just for anti-magic?
For anti-magic. And as you can see, the spells, he kind of needs that. Another Fiend dying, but the Destroyer is safe to the back. Panda's coming in. Drunken Haste, Breath of Fire, hitting so much. And there's, of course, only single target heal. That doesn't help too much against this heal ward being immediately countered by a blink right-click, taking out the statue as well. This Warden, man, what an MVP. Everything is orange. Oh, excuse me, everything is red, including that Lich. Coil arrives last second, but for how much longer? TP out, Roar used, Bear falls, but mana was gone. How many more kills? One trying to blink in, gets one Abomination. And now we have 72 against 59 supply, and still 1,000 gold for the Korean.
Why did he push there? He had the Banshee tech on the way. I think he was standing at the bridge with only 2 Banshees. What if he waits a minute? He's going to have 4 more Banshees. And with 6 Banshees, you can basically anti-magic everything. And then you're going up against a Panda Warden combo with anti-magic. That could have been promising. But 1-0 just keeps on taking these bad trades. But that's also the thing. Like, if you don't position yourself aggressively, if you just hang back, this is going to happen. And this is going to happen over and over. This Warden has caused so much economic damage this game. It's insane. And you can see one of the strengths of the Warden on this map, of course. So easy for her to blink into the economy of the expansion with these little rivers on Terranas. Gets in easy, gets out easy.
Yeah, there's no disable for the undead. You don't really want to go for Dark Ranger.
Oh!
Sweet little triple kill. You don't really want to go Dark Ranger to get high-level DK and Lich to maybe find success with a Coil Nova combo against that hero, because the Warden is not the tankiest hero. Of course, a lot of armor, as you can see, with 6.6, but on the HP front, you know, not too great. But you need a little bit of preparation for that, and 1-0 is not getting that done at all. But I think that is his one and only hope.
Very interesting game. So obviously LawLiet has the level advantage now, the experience advantage at least. And he's got the supply lead right now. He has been in control of this game for a while. But let's say this game goes on for 3 more minutes without too much action, and 1-0 does get to his 80 supply. If both players get to the army that they want, 80 versus 80, we're going to have a full anti-magic army potentially. And how does that go? I'm not sure. We normally, I'm just by the way, one of the biggest fans of Banshees in the game. But in this matchup, we see them only very, very rarely.
Yeah. Master Training coming now, and more damage against the ghouls here, though, for more experience but less impact, I think. He doesn't need too much lumber anymore. Okay, here we go. And the cooldown should be off in a second, resulting in another double or triple kill.
Should be the... Could be the level 6 right here. How greedy is he?
Oh, dodges the coil. Level 6. Staff out. There's not enough damage to kill her after this coil dodge. How much damage, man? And the ult now. Avatar Vengeance makes things even worse for the undead.
1-0 has to spend and spend and spend just to resupply his economy. And LawLiet has been sitting at 80 for so long.
Mountain Giant.
Getting Mountain Giant tech ready. And he must be at 2-2 upgrades by this point. Ah, not even actually. Might be the 2-2 coming in now. 3-2?
Wow.
Okay.
Focusing heavy on the damage there. But 1-0 scouted the upper right expansion that LawLiet tried with the Destroyer, so now that should be a decent kill. Of course, LawLiet is close, but with an A-bomb, it's not enough to kill it, or will LawLiet not interfere with this? He sees, okay, there's a lot of anti-magic. My Breath of Fire, Fan of Knives combo is not working that well anymore, so he just lets it die. Knowing that there's no second expansion, and a Dark Ranger now for LawLiet.
Ah, to silence the possession. I imagine at this point we do have Master Training.
Yes.
Smart play. Going into high upkeep with that, but LawLiet did have the resources to pull that off easily.
Also 1-0, one of the best players to use late coils. If you can prevent them, that will result in 1 or 2 more kills. Of course, it can be dispelled with Destroyers, but so does Roar and Reju. So you don't have infinite dispel.
It's going to be very hard
to supply, man. Hoo-hoo.
It's going to be very hard to micro here for both these guys. These armies have become massive. There's so many units that need close attention for perfect usage. Focus fire, kiting, spells as well, dispels, buffs, everything. Pit Lord coming in now. That hero is rather easy to micro. Just put him in front, use the howl, that's it.
Even I can do that.
Maybe you should play here, Neo. And the Warden harass continues, as it seems, once again on her way across the map.
Not sure though. She doesn't need experience anymore to get the ult. 100 supply. The Night Elf army will be maxed out in a bit.
We haven't seen the Avatar yet.
Nope. Could be Blink, right?
Oh, that would be such a potentially massive throw,
Oh
though.
my god, this snipe was big against 2 of the Wisps, but now there's no Nova anymore, so I kind of like that play by LawLiet. Sending in 2 Wisps and then 3 to force the Nova, but now he's not using them. Nova again. There's no detonates! That was good.
The Warden in the back getting rid of all the anti-magic on the Banshees. They have to reapply it. Invul pop on the Warden. In the backline there, looking for more statue kills. The Bears now find the connection towards the front line. We have 1-0 kiting away, kiting back from this fight. Everything's dropping low for 1-0 here in front, losing A-bombs, losing Fiends. And the Panda with this getting more experience as well. If he gets to level 5, not even anti-magic can save you against all the magic damage.
It's a 17 supply lead for the Korean, who did not go into this as the big favorite. It was a toe-to-toe battle, but the Warden seems to be overwhelming still. Dryads are not falling at all. Breath of Fire gets rid of the anti-magic shell. Needs a follow-up though. Lich in the middle of all the Bears, dropping, but there's quite some mana on this Death Knight to use. Bear falls, staff in from the Warden, so more damage can be done with Blink and Fan of Knives.
Dryads trying to reach for the slow, not the best damage dealers in the late game anymore, but for the utility of the slow, still very powerful, along with the Dispel, of course. Against the Curse, you want them as well. Warden blinking forward, looking for more kills, even hiding now in the shadows. No reveal right there. How many heal scrolls did 1-0 bring, by the way? I feel like it wasn't that many, but I'm not entirely certain.
LawLiet not expanding for the second time. Main gold mine is dry for him, so it's 2 base versus 1 base for a little while for 1-0. Using heal scrolls now, or buying heal scrolls now, making sure that there's no Fiend hidden in the ground with that reveal. So where to go now, LawLiet? He's losing a lot of gold to high upkeep.
Yeah, he's got like barely any income right now. Oh, that's going to be a welcome find right here, though. Booyah!
One. Only getting one kill. Nice split by 1-0. That was an invitation for more.
It's going to get at least the one. Oh, wants to get them both, though. Does 1-0 want to expand again with his Acolytes, I wonder? Or does he deem that too dangerous, too risky? He's getting back up to his 80 supply.
LawLiet is moving the Tree of Eternity to the upper right, as it seems. As you can see on the bridge now at almost a 12 o'clock position, this red little dot should be it. Warden, no Invo Potion. Live a dangerous life. And 1-0 is expanding again. This game is not over yet. We take it to the fullest. And will this affect LawLiet with his injured hand?
And one thing in the last big engagement was Wisp detonates made a big difference right there. Now, at the moment, we have barely any Wisps. Plus, the Dryads, remember, not the best damage dealers anymore so late into the game. The heroes have to do it, but the Panda's almost level 5. We have Mana Flare form starting things off, getting webbed to the ground, but not getting taken out immediately. The Fiend damage will be coming in, though, over time, and running away from the Mana Flare now. Warden in the back, getting focused, has to be careful. No invul on her, by the way.
Panda has a lot of mana, but here comes the Coil Nova, blinks out that second. Almost a kill on the Pit Lord, so no Howl of Terror, but he was out of mana anyway. Level 5 for the Panda now. Big Invul has to use it soon. He catches the Coil, but is still alive, and he's forcing him back. There's no kiting anymore for 1-0. He has to fight with what he has now or tap out.
But the Warden can't get back in. The Panda can't get back in, but the DK, no TP for him anymore. Seems like this is going to be his last stand at the expansion. Deeming it so that he has to hold, otherwise he doesn't have a chance, but it's so many units still left remaining for LawLiet, who is still in high upkeep.
Drunken Haze, oh, Panda in trouble, but the Dark Ranger is there with the stab. Both heroes so low, the DK, what can he do? The Invo Potion is on the Lich, and 1-0 taps out LawLiet. A long and exhausting game for the Korean Night Elf, but he takes map number 1.
Wasn't easy, he had to work hard, but at the end of the day, it is the kind of game that LawLiet wants. He wants to be on 2 bases. If he has to play against 2 bases, that's fine. He has a high-level Warden. He has the blinks all over the place. All those economic kills on the Acolytes, on the Ghouls. The 2-base play versus Night Elf started becoming more popular from the Undead side because of the Keeper, because you can't prevent his expansion, and the Keeper doesn't scale that well into the late game, but the Warden does. She does very well. With the double AoE there with the Panda, the help from that second hero. In short, I don't know that going 2-base versus Warden is going to be ever a very good idea.
You see a little recap of that game, and the highlight was, of course, the Warden. We see vision of LawLiet here. It is first person. That's a pretty cool new feature that ESPN is introducing. Absolutely. Looking at the ghouls, looking at the inventory all the time.
And we can see there, 1-0 was just always struggling to catch up with the Warden. He is so mobile with the blink and with the stab as well.
That dodge was so beautiful. Yeah, he had everything under control. He had everything in sight and not slipping too much. Yes, he lost a couple of units, of course, you do against 1-0. But it felt like he was in control almost the entire game after a very strong opening. Or early game into expansion. The game didn't start off well with that little steal by 1-0, but he got his revenge with lots and lots and lots of ghoul kills.
And he saw the Warden early. He had the Acolyte scout out, he got the Shadow Priest, so he saw the Warden. It's not like he went blindly for the expansion and then was surprised by the first hero choice. That can sometimes be the case as well if you don't scout, but he did know about it. And I think this is just an opening you can't give LawLiet. You can't give him level 4 Warden for free. You can't give him this 2-base versus 2-base game where I would have loved to have a statistic there. How much economic damage did the Warden deal?
Yeah.
It must have been in the 1.5k range, probably more.
Yeah, with rebuilding Acolytes, with mining time lost, etc., etc. Of course, it costs a little to use like clarities, but that's about it, right? You buy the stab, that's an investment, then clarities and Moonwells help you out. There's not too much to invest in with the Warden play. And now, Twisted Meadows. 1-2-0's pick against Night Elf.
Yes.
kind of unheard of. He's definitely the only undead player who does this.
The one who seems to be favoring it the most, certainly. Yeah, Twisted can be a nightmare, as we talked about earlier. If you go to the late game, if it once again becomes 20 minutes plus with high-level heroes, with plenty of bases all over the place, then it's really tough to deal against a Night Elf who is set up. But in the early game, it's really hard. There's not a single safe camp on the map to creep for the Night Elf, if you disregard the green camps, which aren't worth an Ancient of War creep. And perhaps this is where he's gonna draw his strength from, 1-0. Getting off to a good start, and not let LawLiet get into the position in the late game where he wants to be.
True. He needs higher level heroes faster, and that is definitely possible on Twisted Meadows if there's not too many expansions. Will 1-0 catch another bad start into a WGL group stage, and will LawLiet advance to the winner bracket final against Infi? This will be decided on Twisted Meadows on map number 2.
OC, of course, waiting in the lower bracket, will be having a tough time there regardless of his opponent. These are the 3 favorites, LawLiet, 1-0, and Infi. And only 2 can make it out of Group A, obviously. So here we go, our second map, loading in. LawLiet looking confident, looking strong, looking comfortable as well. That was with a Warden on Terranos stand. Twisted Meadows is a different story. Can you pull off that hero on this map?
Very unlikely, I would say. Maybe a Keeper of the Grove, or maybe the return to the tried and true Demon Hunter. But we were talking like the past 1.5 years how strong 1-0 is against Night Elf, right? I mean, everybody now we can say it was oppressed by Night Elf and Keeper and Alchemist, so all of the win rates against Night Elf dropped a bit. But 1-0 was at one point like 79% win rate, or around 80% win rate against Night Elf, if I'm not mistaken. He dropped down to 67% against Moon and LawLiet, and especially Life. Like, Life eliminated him from next in the lower bracket round 1. That was quite unheard of. Of course, he is still the best WGL player ever with 2 championships and 2 silver medals. But yeah, he has to show it once again that he's worthy. I would love to tell you the first hero, but the nice graphics lay over it at the moment. But I would say it's a Keeper of the Grove.
I think so too. Especially with the harder camp here. As we can see, the Ancient of War not being placed at the knolls, which would be like the old school position. Here we see the Keeper. Or at the gold mines, which is like this sneaky hidden position. No, he's going for the Merchant, which, oh my god, did not get scouted. 1-0 sent out double scouts, but he wasn't looking for the Merchant. That is a greedy camp. That is a hard camp that we don't see often getting taken.
Yeah. But it's also not scouting the 3 o'clock position, where Night Elves tend to expand very early on as basically the first camp.
Players' forces are under attack.
So I'm not such a big fan of the scouting. He will see it soon, I guess, with the Acolyte moving across.
1-0 now knows the starting position of LawLiet. He knows that he's top right. The Ghoul isn't checking the gold mine over there. I thought he would, but now he knows about the Ancient of War. Now he sees it. DK, though, is slower than the Night Elf hero by a couple of seconds. Did he Ancient of War, didn't I? I'm not sure. I think he did. Oh, that's not a good start. Of course, no entangle. Can't lock down these units. And he didn't go for the Troll Warlord first. Yeah. So that one's still up for grabs. The Wisps now also up for grabs. Uh-oh, this is not looking like a good start for the Korean.
Is he bringing in ghouls? No, he sends them back. But maybe with skeletons, he can kill this Ancient of War. There's no repair. It's too late, and he can't get to the trees and eat them to heal. This is no production for LawLiet.
And the one archer might be falling, dude. Oh my god, this is such a bad opening.
Despite the late scout, 1-0 makes it work with only an Acolyte and the DK.
Not even chasing after the archer, interestingly. Okay, now he might be. And here we see the big difficulty for Night Elf on Twisted Meadows, the early game. LawLiet, though, it's kind of his fault. He took one of the hardest camps to attempt first, and now the big last hit coming in. With double detonate, he can drain all of the mana for the DK. He needs to get one more detonate off, though, and he does.
No coil here to work with, but LawLiet is 1-0 is so good in the last hit department. Not this time, though.
He's surrounded as well.
And there's the entangle again. LawLiet taking revenge for the early game. That wasn't too good. The tree and block is still there.
Oh, wow.
So sweet. He gets the archer in the end, but loses the town portal. What an action-packed early game. The DK got the rope of the Magi, though. So the experience goes to the Night Elf. The item goes... to the Undead.
Archer also died. That is the only Archer. There is no...
Forces
Did he
are
wall
under
himself in?
attack.
No, he didn't. Okay. DK is still healing up here, but there's no entangle still. And 1-0 might know that this is still the case. And he sacrifices Acolyte with the sacrificial ritual dagger right there for a bit more healing. As the keeper continues to pressure. Damage, of course, will cancel the healing. Oh, but the staff over... This is pretty cute. This is all kind of cute, but it's not going to lead to a kill.
Not really. No mana here. All.
Is under siege.
Keeper has the boots, though.
Is it enough? There's no Unholy Aura.
Yeah, tier
There's
2
still
should
skeletons.
be finished soon, so that means Halls of the Dead
Player's
slow.
forces are under
I think the
attack.
most important thing here is there's no level 2 for the Keeper, and there's no expansion for the Night Elf. So
Yeah.
1-0, despite having this her DK, can be satisfied with this early.
I'd love to know the tech here from LawLiet. Should be much slower than the undead tech because it cost 3 wisps earlier to repair. Here we see now the expansion. And the tech is actually pretty fast by LawLiet, all things considered. The Hunter's Hall, though, a little late. Bit of a foggy special making it to Shanghai after all.
And a little
A player's
glimpse of the
forces are
Ukrainian.
under attack.
Okay, now there's the expansion, but I think 1-0 must be aware of this. Walking into the creeps. Needs levels as well. It's not like he can just rush over to the right-hand side of the map. He would lose too much time for that as the Keeper would be leveling up.
So the Rock Golem is going to be a great creep here for him if he can take it without interference. And the Keeper got his level 2, but now he's going to be returning back to his side of the map. Never mind! Naga with the boots.
Okay, that should be a lot of damage, but now we have the Unholy Aura. Very helpful against the slow of the Naga. Blocks the way, actually. Nicely done. But there should be at least 1 kill more. Oh, the call was nice.
Good damage here from the Night Elf heroes, but not the tankiest. If they get surrounded, could be a quick kill, or a TP forced at least. First ghoul dies, more entangles, means more kills. And this is kind of cool. LawLiet getting quite a bit done here with only 2 heroes. 2 ghoul kills, but that's not the only thing. It's also
player's
slowing down the
forces are
creeping
under attack.
tremendously. And we have Gargs. Well,
Yep,
one Garg
Garg.
at least.
Forcing LawLiet into double engine of lore. Oh!
Wait, what?
The Keeper died.
What? He had a TP. Did he get bouldered?
Maybe. Yeah, there is missing
the
mana. right?
surprise Nova. He wasn't anticipating the Lich, probably. I think that must be it, but oh, that's a big mistake. That one hurts,
Okay.
because now he can do nothing.
Yes, true, but he has to creep up. Okay, here we see it again. The vision of
Yeah.
LawLiet, and there was, as you said, the surprise Nova coming out of the dark and killing off that Keeper of the Grove, who is struggling hard with level 3 right now. He needs to creep, but it's so hard to do with the Naga only. There's nothing to tank with, basically, except, of course, the Tree of Life, but no treants for
A
additional
player's
damage.
forces are under attack.
This will take a while. Of course, 1-0 knows.
Yeah, and 1-0 is pretty strong right now. He's bringing over the ghouls. He's at 37 supply against a laughable 24.
Okay.
And that is not recoverable anymore.
No.
GG. LawLiet gives up this map here. A lot of things went wrong. Started off with the Ancient of War, which was a greedy choice in the first place. I guess it was 1-0's pick here. Perhaps expected to lose this / win this. But yeah. Shake that off. That can happen. A map like that. This was completely a bit of an off game. But that happens every now and then.
That was a really weird game. After this long, excruciating first map, Terrana Stand, mistakes in the early, very good moves in the early though as well, so this was not your normal cookie-cutter game on no side, really. It's really interesting how they deal with this. Both were trying to throw some curveballs with 1-0, pulling the creeps out and doing the mercenary camp early. Then came the Naga. It was a little bit back and forth, but yeah, the killing blow was the snowball against the Keeper of the Grove, and without that first hero in that stage of the game when it's so important to get the echo advantage and everything, that was just a neck breaker.
Absolutely. After having fallen behind so far in the early, losing an Ancient of War is a massive deal. Like, there was no investment from the other side at all. He was coming in with one ghoul, and then he sent that back. The DK and the skeletons killed the Ancient of War, and then you're stuck on no production until tier 2. It's like you're vulnerable for so long. Expo was the Hail Mary play, trying to pray for an opening or a way back into the late game. But that was not allowed. 1-0 once again. Successful on Twisted, making me think about perhaps reconsidering my ladder vetoes.
And Remo, now it's according to statistics in this tournament, gargoyles have a 100% win rate.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
I recently casted Shawi Cup. We saw Torrents. Torrents have had a 100% win rate there, Neil.
Well, Shawi Cup. It's nothing compared to WGL. But yeah, interesting choice by 1-0 there. Seeing that he might have this TBC opening in him to go for 1 or 2 early Gogs for distraction, then transition into teams. He has a lot of different weapons in his arsenal. Very hard to predict what exactly he's going to play.
Yeah, earlier we saw his fast expansion attempt on TS. In the end, didn't work. Twisted, of course. That's not a map where Fast Expo is really viable. One Wisp Detonate ruins your dreams, and that's gonna be that for that strategy. I have to be honest with you right now, bro. I forgot the third map. Do you remember?
I thought we could just talk over it because I forgot it too. But you, of course, have to put the knife in.
No, we're gonna be honest here. But
we just had to wait a minute longer because we see it now. Map number 3, because LawLiet, between LawLiet and 1-2-0. Will we take this for, or into the 20-minute and plus mark, or 1-2-0 crush him again early on? Hero choice is super interesting. Unit composition super interesting. This is the deciding map in Group A's winner bracket semi-final, and it is our beloved map, Last Refuge.
Where early expansion is absolutely possible from both sides. But the Warden, is she possible on this map?
She is absolutely doable if you know a creep route for her for level 3. LawLiet does that with an Engine of War at the shop. That must be the start, I think, or at least this must be the follow-up. But I think it's highly unlikely to see that. My pick here would be the third different first hero in 3 games. My pick here is the Demon Hunter.
Can stack up on claws nicely, can move from camp to camp kind of well, can also creep some camps without Ancients of War even. The Natural, the High Priests. But if you go Keeper here, it's actually easy to creep level 3. Pretty easy, as you can move with Treants very simply from camp to camp. We're gonna have to keep a close eye out here on the first hero choice for the Nidal. For the Undead, of course, it should be DK. But 1-2-0 has been experimental the last couple of months with Lich, with Dreadlord. But now in the serious game, in the serious tournament,
DK it is.
it is Death Knight.
Audience looking at this as well. No familiar faces so far, but a few 1-2-0 fans. And Emoji in the upper... Oh no, it's not yet in the camp. We will see him later, I guess. So, is this expansion or not, is the question. And what's the Night Elf here? Did we see the hero choice already?
Keeper.
Oh, Keeper it is. That's interesting.
It will be the Keeper of the Grove here indeed. Wisp moving out for the Scout. No Acolyte Scout, interestingly. First time that we don't see an Acolyte Scout. Only 5 Echoes, which should certainly mean no expansion.
Okay. So, a little heavier on the ghouls and then no expansion attempt. I was basically 100% sure, but maybe the games against Moon and TH when he was playing Night Elf taught him a lesson that it's just too easy to cancel if there's good Wisp detonates.
Oh, there is the skull.
Oh, little block. He sees the inventory.
4 ghouls moving out. That's a lot of ghouls. That
So
costs
he's
him a lot of
creeping this
lumber.
and then sends an Acolyte later?
I guess so. Skeletons. Perhaps both getting detonated. Not quite. Oh, again with the save. Damn!
DK. Is he waiting for the Blight or not? I don't think he has the chance because there was the Sand Snare. So at least he gets rid of the skeletons, but he needs a follow-up. There's one Wisp and maybe even another one. This could be game right here. Will he get the last hit? Ooh, playing around it, and the experience goes to the DK.
1-0 got it, yeah. The Wisp gets ensnared again. This is the Trappers with the ensnare, and you can still place a Ziggurat over there.
He needs another Wisp, but it's not coming. He can't afford it after 2 Wisp. Or 4 units around, maybe squeezing through that little opening.
All right, plan B. I guess we don't expand then. Question is, did LawLiet start the tech or not?
Yeah.
If he... This is the late undead tech now. Of course, it was supposed to be an expansion, but too much pressure. Gives up on the idea. If LawLiet teched normally still, this is going to be a decent advantage for him moving into the mid-game.
Well, if 1-0 did not build an Acolyte and just fake this expansion, he could still be ahead in tech.
I think he's a little behind. We saw it now. We saw the undead tech starting. But it's basically neck and neck, so LawLiet as well. Delayed the tech of his just slightly.
And again, because of this early pressure, no expansion for LawLiet at this point. 1-0 is scouting for it, but LawLiet is dodging that currently. Just getting level 2 for himself with Entangle.
Really good Wisp usage. Look at all the eyes on the map for LawLiet. He has such a good idea of where his opponent is. 1-0 wanted to go for a bit of evasion creeping right here. Doesn't want to run into this level 2 Keeper with the Entangle. Ghouls with that are an easy snack for him, backed up by the archers. But thanks to his Wisps, now he knows where the opponent is, despite the fact of how weird this creep route is for the undead. Now he has the aura though, making things a lot easier. But 1 Entangle should certainly mean 1 kill.
He goes for the safe one, but 1-0 denies.
And the block coming out from the DK. Could be an opening now to surround the first hero, though.
A player's forces
With skeletons here, that's rather unlikely, though. To hold. So only 1 ghoul lost. That was denied. That's totally fine.
Good escape from 1-0, and there we saw his incredible micro. Using his DK so nicely to just block the Keeper to prevent Entangle against more ghouls, and getting the last hit on the 1 ghoul that fell. This is why he is the Necromancer that brought Undead to the throne again.
Natural now is being crept by the Treants only for LawLiet. Is this going to be the expansion? Probably, yes. Keeper is not really a hero you can play 1 base versus 1 base. Normally we say Night Elf almost never can play this on 1 base against Undead, and with the Keeper, certainly. He is just not strong enough in the late game. Once there are destroyers, he is just too easily answered. You need the numbers then.
Alchemist as well for Acid Bomb. Speeds up the creeping. On the other side, we have 1 Garg again. And Ancients of Wind. For the first time, this is going to be the mass air combo of Hippo Riders and Fairy Dragons.
That was the most popular build by far in 1.30 against Undead. But 1-0 now going Gargs on 1 crypt. We saw Undead's experimenting with Gargs quite a bit on 1.30 as well. With expansions, without expansions, tier 2 timing pushes, tier 3 timing pushes. This cancelled, by the way, is a really big deal right now. Again, LawLiet needs the 2nd base. But if he is going to get it, it's going to be much delayed.
At least he gets some experience, but yeah, that cancelled. The expansion was like 60% done. Lost a lot of time here. The Devotion Aura, in case you're not watching too much Warcraft, was buffed, so it cuts the minus armor of the Orb of Corruption in half now, granting 2 armor for the entire unit, for the entire army. Ditches out, level 3. The Keeper is in better shape, and we see the double crypt into Slaughterhouse tier 2. This is Gargs.
Oh, almost finding the creep jack there, but it's
Nighttime.
nighttime.
No Ultra Vision, apparently.
Exactly. He actually doesn't have Hunter's Hall. Don't need them, of course, for the Hippo Riders. And here's the Garg now, and this is definitely going to be another cancel.
This Garg is so good just for scouting and to be annoying. And he's cancelling this again.
Gonna cost him a couple of ghouls, though. At least 2 are gonna die. Oh, but the Lich is coming in, looking for some kills of his own with the Coil Nova. Cancelled the Nova there, I think.
Just right-kick pressure on this DK now, trying to block in front.
Oh,
nice! Micro by LawLiet. It's not enough, though. 1-0 just walks it off. Chemical Rage used. Doesn't want to commit further on the back of this 3rd expansion attempt for LawLiet.
Keeper there almost had enough mana, or did, for an Entangle, so DK had to back it up with the rest of the army now, trying to do some creeping of his own. So is 1-0 really staying tier 2 here? We have been seeing that a little bit more recently. Just a couple of ghouls against the archers, and then the Gargs against the air. But no, it is going to be tier 3. But that is truly late.
Okay, last hit goes to 1-2-0, but the town portal has to be pulled as well. Last second, 40 HP remaining. But the 350 gold item is gone. The rest of the creep spot goes to LawLiet, who needs level 3 on the Alchemist, I guess, against the Gargs to be able to fight with the Hippos against them. 40 supply for both of them. This will stay this way for 1-2-0. He kind of late with that ziggurat, right? So you really want the Gargs in high numbers. You want to be the first one at 50 supply to dominate air with your Nova and with the Gargs. Against Hippos, you are usually stronger than the Gargs. This throws him back a little.
Air fight should belong to the Night Elf now, but the Nova comes in, and the first kill will almost be snagged right there immediately. 1-for-1 trade, Garg against Hippogriff. But the ground is not... The ghouls can't do anything, it seems like.
Nope, trying to get this Berserker now is, of course, a great anti-air addition. Lich gets it. Ooh, there's a ghoul over it, most likely. 1-2-0 is doing a good job in keeping this DK safe in the back, but he's losing the air battle. And this is absolutely not what you want. You want to dominate. You want to have like 3 to 4 Gargs more. I think at this point, he can already transition to Fiends. It's hard, of course, as they cost so much. But how do you want to get the critical mass of Gargs again?
I think he was just going down there looking for a cancel of the expansion, but LawLiet with a good positioning kept that from happening a third time.
In focus, that was the second last coil most likely. Nova eats one Hippo, so with good micro he can get back into this air battle, as that is only Hippogriff Riders at the moment. No Hippogriffs, doing a lot less damage, especially in the air versus air battle.
Yeah, that's the interesting interaction with Hippos and Hippo Riders. Hippogriffs by themselves kind of destroy air, destroy Gargs, but Hippo Riders get completely annihilated. Of course, their armor types and everything change. But we still have some normal Hippos left, fighting 2 versus 3 right now.
This is not a fight 1-2-0 should use, but good time to get out. And the coil ready as well.
And we can see the buffed Gargs. They are so fast right now. In 1.31, the cost was reduced by 10 and the movement speed was increased as well. So they are extremely fast with the aura from the DK. Losing one Garg there to only the hero, that was not absolutely perfect.
Ooh, another block, getting out of there with Chemical Rage, but low mana on both sides. And here's the Fiend transition. And you need a high-level Acid Bomb against them, because the piercing damage of Hippo Riders and Fairy Dragons, and the damage in general, is not enough to defeat Fiends, especially if you have a high-level coil against it.
You also kind of want mass Fiends, though, to have the focus fire potential of quickly taking out targets. Like, web all the Hippogriffs or Hippo Riders, whatever it is, then 1 or 2 volleys, it dies, and then you kite back further. But with Fiend numbers being so low, it's going to be hard to pull off.
Love this Mud Golem, by the way, that we see in the overlay. Just a little more slow, or slow in general, to pick up one Hippo. You can use that like 2 or 3 times and get the air superiority. But with Fiends, of course, it's a lot harder. But at least you can get rid of the gargoyles that way.
He was pooling quite a few Fiends, actually. Now he has 3, does 1-2-0. LawLiet, not yet in upkeep. You want to get to 60 supply, possibly 70 as quickly as you can with this army. Everything is air, so nothing is blocking each other, really. So you can attack everything at the same time, especially if it's entangled. That gives you suddenly pretty decent damage, even if Hippo Riders don't have the best DPS.
The first time in this tournament where it's really, really close. Every single mistake could decide this winner bracket semi-final and Infi's opponent. And Tangle used against this Garg, and whoops, that's breakfast for these Hippos here. In the WCG qualifiers, LawLiet had to play Lucifer in the deciding match, who goes to the regional qualifiers for Asia Pacific. And LawLiet was practicing with 1-2-0 then. Around 50 games a day or so, because WCG is that important to him. So, of course, they know each other inside out, and they know their thought process, especially in those long games now. It's going to be interesting how well they study each other. Red spot for 1-2-0. Is this turning into the Super Lich with a claw plus 12? Nope. Would have coming.
At this point, LawLiet should have read the situation. He hasn't seen the heroes for quite a while. He has only seen 3 to 4 gargoyles for a long time. He must expect, if not know, that this is Fiends, and now he certainly knows. Getting one of his hippos webbed, but that's okay. He's got the resources to spare. LawLiet now with a big army. 65 supply for him, but a lot of that is just hippogriffs. Can't attack the Fiends.
Yeah, there's no archers to back it off, right? So he can do something against the Destroyer as well, but this Entangled Gold Mine is down. Good timing by 120. Wonder if he has a town portal again. Here comes the air army, but there will be a lot of web as well.
Webbing and kiting. 120, certainly one of the best players in the world at that. We saw tremendous performances by him with that previously. But there's so many things, he can't web everything.
The Nova was big, and he actually saves that Destroyer with ease, so he still has the Dispel against the Entangled Treants. Gogs even survive, and the Fiends are the real threat, but okay, here we go. First one down. Hippo's still reigning there. Scroll of Protection being used, and the Scroll of Healing is gone already as well.
And the Lich out of mana, no more Nova from him unless there's going to be some sacrifices. But don't want to sacrifice the Fiends. Too valuable. One Fiend over there. Coil comes in too late as the Fiend falls, and LawLiet is moving forward. Look a little bit scary there with 120's kiting game coming in once again in full force. But now he's down to 2 Fiends.
That's true, and he has more Entangle. There is a coil on that one Fiend, but one in the back died. LawLiet lost like 16 supply in this engagement though. So he's down to no upkeep. TP out with that Fairy Dragon. Big losses for the Korean. You see it in the levels, close to 5-4, but at least the tree is still standing.
Yeah, and in this specific scenario, mass Fiends versus mass Night Elf Air, it is possible to play on one base as Undead if you have the micro to back it up for a while at least.
Expansion in the bottom right for 120. He wants to control that position so well that he can expand on the hill there.
It's all about mana in this matchup on both sides. If you don't have Entangle and Acid Bomb, you are not a threat at all. And of course the Undead without his spells can't do much either. Nova there into the backline takes out the Berserker. And 120 seems to be stabilizing now, doesn't he?
Absolutely, but the Treants are scouting this expansion now if they have a duration long enough, and they do. This is a tough spot for LawLiet now between a rock and a hard place. Has to defend the expansion, has to kill the expansion of 120.
Can the Treants cancel it by themselves?
Not sure. The duration was at like 50%. They got nerfed, so it's hard to estimate if that's enough or not. But level 5 for the DK.
Not sure if it's Coil or the Aura. One more Fiend will be falling here, but denied with a Dark Ritual. No experience gathered from the Night Elf. And LawLiet is taking losses here as well. Losing a Fairy Dragon, soon to be losing the Hippogriff after, and that is the kiting that 120 is known for. But one more Fiend will be dying. Down to only 3 now. Not that much piercing damage anymore, but also LawLiet's forces are dwindling. He wants to win this fight. He wants to force 120 back and then cancel this expansion.
Yeah, 120 is actually the supply lead. I'm pretty surprised to see that. Fiends are hurt. Single target healing, of course, can't heal both at the same time. But with this positioning, LawLiet can't even reach for that. Another Fairy Dragon goes down. This looks decent for 120, I would say. Moving back to the hill, statues constantly ready. Lich is in a little bit of trouble, but so is the Keeper of the Grove. No mana anymore. If there's Coil Nova, he's dead. There's an Invo Potion. He uses that before the nuke comes in. But the game is on a knife's edge right here.
All the heroes out of mana now, but so many Fiends still left, and the web targets the fairies on the ground. Easy pickings now. More and more Fiends coming from the main. Some may have fallen, but enough were there to replace them. And now LawLiet no longer does he have the economic advantage.
He's falling apart. The Expo in the upper right is up. There's Blight now, and the floodgates are open to kill the Tree of Life, and maybe LawLiet's win a bracket run in the round of 16. The Fiend transition was seemingly on point, doing more and more damage. There's nothing LawLiet can do at the moment with the 33 supply. He doesn't have a Warden that can carry this game alone. The Alchemist isn't strong enough, and this Tree of Life is down for the 4th time. GG! 120 versus Infi in the winner bracket final in 2 days. And we get a Night Elf mirror in the lower bracket as Korea meets the USA. LawLiet versus OC for survival.
120 impressively coming back. His fast expansion plans didn't work too well on the first map and gave up on them in the third game. Kind of liberally, I guess. That was his beginning plan, but then said, okay, too much pressure on me, and then was able to do it with his army control on one base, kind of what made him famous in the first place. And now in the upper bracket. LawLiet, of course, still a chance. In the lower.
Fair play between them, and 1-2-0 finally getting a good start into the group stage again. Finally there where we expect him to be. China today in Group A, pretty dominant as they win both games here, and we will have, of course, a Chinese battle in 2 days with 1-0 versus Infi. But key play, cancelling the expansion twice.
Yes, absolutely. Interesting build there. Just the single crypt Gargs. I think you called it the TBC build for a while, and I felt like you were kind of making fun of him sometimes.
That is an entirely different thing, though, because TBC is staying at 1 crypt Gargs, and he's fighting mass air with that, and you can never get the numbers with 1 crypt. 1-2-0 saw, okay, I got that scout information, I got that decent early mid-game, boom Slaughterhouse, boom second crypt, boom Gargs. Had a decent time with the 5-6 Gargs at the same time, but then he saw, okay, these Hippo numbers are getting out of hand. Kind of lost that fight. It was a fair trade, but he lost too many Gargs to continue mass air game. And then, great timing for the transition into Fiends, and LawLiet was not ready for that. He had the acid bomb not on a super high level. He had the 63 supply, but it wasn't too powerful. So I think in combination with that expansion timing, the transition into Fiends was key for 1-2-0 here next to his great micro, of course.
And the cool thing about that build actually is if you open up with this tier 2 Garg play, staying on tier 2 a little bit and transitioning later, you have the double crypts to replace those Fiends once they start dying. And a lot of Fiends did die, but there was enough gold, there was enough production to keep on rallying out those Fiends.
Ooh boy. 1-2-0 on stage. 1 map or 1 series away from the top 8, where he of course wants to be again after that devastating defeat against Focus last WGL in the group stage. So our friends of Gornland Harbor will most likely translate that on his blog. Aragon Wong is here with us, by the way. Maybe we can get an interview with him. Speaking of interviews, in a few minutes, we will have an interview up with OC on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/backtowarcraft, let's say, in a very decent setting.
Absolutely. It's a pretty picture.
Yes. Thank you very much for the $20 donation. DC Duck 1004. Greetings from LA. Thanks for your hard work on making Warcraft 3 tournaments accessible. And thank you all so much for these masses of subs that are coming in. We don't get a fee here for casting this, so every single sub or donation or whatever helps us to keep this channel running. We, of course, enjoy this time a lot with you guys. Almost 3,000 viewers here at WGL Summer 2019. We're not done for the day. We're halfway through, but not done for the day. We have European participation here. It's Focus versus Cash in an Orc Mirror, and the former world champion steps into the ring as well with TH versus Colorful.
And Cash, we saw him at last WGL already. He is always a promising player, and not just that, he almost made all the groups last WGL. He is also a wild card. Like, how is he going to play? The one reliable thing normally is that when he goes to China, he doesn't flop. He doesn't get top 8 normally, he doesn't get top 4 or something like that, but he plays well every time, and it seems like he's always in contention for making it, for almost getting through. And with Cash, well, specifically in the qualifier, he's actually capable of off-racing as well.
Absolutely. Human, Night Elf, Orc, he can play everything. And last time, he was kind of annihilated by Moon, we gotta say. Moon playing Mass Chimeras and stuff like this.
This was Moon.
That was Moon. That was Moon's tournament. He was the best player by far. He had to play against Infi as well. And man, Infi was sweating so much in that best of 3. Cash came so close, so definitely good chances. But he's up against maybe today the best Orc Mirror player in the world, and that is Focus.
Yeah, Focus was extremely scary the last couple of months. Like April and May, he was, in my opinion, looking like the best player in the world. But there were
a lot of wet dreams.
I was very, very, very impressed. But I was already kind of seeing the writing on the wall. Focus has those times, has those high points, especially online, where for a couple of weeks he's so strong, and I was kind of afraid, is this going to last? And it might not.
Here are the highlights from Group A, LawLiet versus 1-2-0. We will be back in a bit with Group B. Stay tuned.